Hi friends, this is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolfpack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. A safe space where being yourself is the ultimate goal. Each week we will bring you new episodes sharing our opinions on a ton of different topics in hopes we can get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our opinions and experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals, no one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences, our opinions, and for entertainment purposes only. Now, with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Be Real Babe podcast. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by the show today. We hope that you have a good time. And if you're a returning listener, watcher, supporter, thank you guys so much from the bottom of our hearts for coming back time and time again. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am the host of the show. And today, you guys, we're on episode 157, Keeping Up with Canada, Part 3. For those that are not French and Franglais, that is 3, Part 3. Part 3! So we decided this season that we wanted to throw in one episode a month where we talk about what the fuck is going up in our country because shit is wild. And because we didn't pay attention for years, I feel like that's where we are today. So, I don't know if we're getting older, but millennials, we need to be paying attention all the time. So this episode is going to be a heavy talk, and I generally don't give trigger warnings to episodes because I put a description in there. If you read it, you should know what you're getting into, but this one is a very sensitive topic. It's a very controversial topic, and I just want to make sure that everyone is in the right headspace before we jump into this. So we are going to be speaking about MAIDs today, and there is going to be talk about suicidal ideation and just that form of discussion today, a little bit of a darker topic, but you guys, we have to talk about these things whether we're comfortable with it or not, because these are facts. These things are happening in our country, and I don't think many people know the extent that this is going to go to and the slippery slope us as Canadians are possibly facing with this legislation. And you know the show, you know us. We don't really like the government having their hand in this kind of shit and deciding to tell people who should and should not live. So we thought we would talk about this today because it is moving quite quickly over the last couple of years, and actually last 7-8 years since this came into law. So we think it's important. And again, there's nuances, guys, and there's always going to be, no one's going to be happy with anything that we say at all the time. We just want you guys to know that we're coming through this with this, talking from a place of love, because we think every life is valuable. And we both just struggle with saying that we think that you shouldn't be here, because I just can't say that as a person. But thank goodness that's not my job. Thank goodness I plan cannabis and speak on a microphone, and I am not any form of doctor. I do understand, and we will say this multiple times, that this should be a service offered in this country. We're just saying, are there some red flags here? But before we get on to this heavy episode, if you do want to continue listening to us, please do. If not, I understand. If you want to peace out into the next episode, we have 155 other episodes you can catch up on. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, YouTube, Rumble, and on social media. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest. You guys, we absolutely are loving this season. Loving the layout, loving the guests, loving the new co-hosts doing their thing. So proud of them. Just make sure you're always liking, subscribing, and commenting for our engagement. We are extremely shadow banned on Instagram right now. It's not even letting us post reels, but I'm finding ways around it. So just be patient with us, guys. We completely appreciate you guys listening all the time and being here. Now, time for me to be quiet. And again, another warning, this is going to be a heavy topic. These might be some hot takes for you guys. And please just make sure you're in the right headspace to listen to this and know that we're coming from a place of love. Okay, let's get on to the show. All right, babes, it's time to get on to the show. And today with me in studio is my beautiful co-host, Pales, and Baby Bean.
Hey, man.
Hiding down there somewhere.
Good.
Hi. How's our little Lola Bean update?
She's chewing on my Swiffer handle as I speak. I'm trying to keep her busy and not exploring and getting into stuff she doesn't need to down here. So far,
I
so
love
good.
that. I'm doing something for the first time I've ever done on the show before today, so we'll see how it goes. I've left the door open. And for the first 10 minutes the door was open, Benjamin was not behaving at all. And I was like, I fucking regret this already. And he's gone and pissed around, and now he's in his bed. So hopefully that's it. But with Grant being gone, I just kind of feel guilty, like locking them
Yeah.
out after being gone
It's
all day.
funny.
I don't know if anybody else is like that,
Yeah.
but I feel so bad when I'm gone all day.
Today I was we got home and I was putting Evie down for a nap and Smokey's making those yowly noises and I was just like, dude, shut the fuck
Yes.
up. Like, what are you doing? There was
I
this black
hate them.
cat that visits our yard and he was on our deck right out the door and yeah, Smokey was long johning and fucking
Teasing.
plow and like super yeah, it was probably I haven't heard him do it in a long time and it was I can't
That's
help
so
but laugh.
funny.
The very like aggressive male because he's the black cat. I'm pretty sure is a male and he's a big boy. And yeah, Smokey's like get
Yeah.
the fuck off my deck,
Off
bitch.
my
Like he is not having it. And he like
It's so
oh
funny.
I wish I would have recorded it. I was really pissed that I had to put her down because I was like, dude, this is the highlight of my day. Like, and
Hilarious.
Kitty is more of
Yeah.
like a
They are.
she sees him and
Who's
does like
that?
the whole like
Fuck.
who's that
Yeah.
and like walks up to the
Who
window.
is?
She's not going to do it, but Smokey's very like meow, meow. And I'm
It's
like,
the
oh my
worst.
god, like chill out.
It's like the devil.
Yeah,
It's like the devil comes
all I can
out.
say
Benji
it's
gets
always
these
the
and
long john. Like that's you hear that come out of
it
yeah.
is.
It makes me laugh.
It's it's so funny. And Benji and we've like come to know this about like orange tabbies especially. They get like so riled up and then they just run around the house and then they just do this barrel noise. Like I can't barrel. Like it's just like
Oh
what the
yeah,
fuck yeah, exactly. And you're like
that's Smokey.
it,
Yeah.
do you see ghosts? Is there a spirit? Like, what is this? Timmy fallen in the well? Like, what are
It's
you
so
trying to
funny
tell
because
me, cat?
Smokey's a gray. His mom was a calico, so he's got mixed, but he's got a very
Oh,
weirdly like raccoony striped tail, very faint, but you can see it in his gray
mhm.
coloring. And yeah, he's very like "Prow, prow." Like he'll be
Oh,
downstairs sitting in
fuck.
this chair, and you can hear him howling upstairs. I'm like, bro, shut the fuck up.
I know,
Come upstairs if you need to
I
talk to
know,
me. Like I'm not. Don't do
I
that
know.
to me. Like he's been like going on 15 years of just yeah, like the hit.
Yeah,
It's like, dude, shut
yeah.
up. Get over it.
You're embarrassing
Yeah, like
yourself,
dude,
whatever you're
drama
doing.
king. Like, what are you
Yes.
complaining about
Oh,
now? Yeah.
I know, and they do all of it. Actually, like Jackson, our black cat or middle cat, he kind of looks like a Maine Coon, but he's a Chantilly, so he's like very fluffy and looks like um what's his name? How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh,
Toothless. Yeah, that's what he looks like. But he never spoke. Like he never cried. Like you accidentally sit on him because we had a black couch and he was black. And he would never make a peep. And then when we moved to the Okanagan, I think he started to see like Benji getting attention when he would cry. So then he started talking, and now the cat does not shut up. Like literally had to tell him to shut up today when I was talking to Grant because he was literally interrupting me as I was talking
that's Kitty.
because he wanted my
Kitty
attention.
is a very
And it's just so funny how they like
vocal
change.
girl,
Yeah.
and she is
Yeah.
yeah.
She lets you know.
She's pretty funny. Well, she's gotten more so with Lola because Lola has balls, like very big ones, and she likes to
Right.
play with
Yes.
Kitty.
Yes.
So yeah, Kitty's gotten a lot more. I hear her a lot more now, just like yelling at Lola, like "Get the fuck away from me, leave me alone." Squatting at her, and yeah,
She's got the little
her
sister.
pretty cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
That's
so
so
gentle
cute.
though. She's not like
So
attacking
cute.
her. I'm waiting for
Yeah.
that.
No.
Where she just like pounces and like gets at her, but hopefully that
It'll
doesn't
happen
come.
one day, but that I mean, it's animals, and it's not as long as it's not too bad. It's always good for them
Lola's
to
gonna
learn their
outgrow her here
boundaries.
soon, so I'm sure her
Yeah,
window is narrowing.
she won't be
for
doing that.
So
Yeah, yeah. She better take advantage while she can. But yeah, so we'll see. I think we should be good. The other two are sleeping, but we'll see if Benjamin comes in.
right.
But also wanted to point out my friend's shirt,
Yes.
R.E.P. Matthew Perry. Like that's sad. We're talking about maids and like getting into obviously like our third part of keeping up with Canada, what's going on, because there's a lot of movement going on with this
Yeah,
maids
dude, the
situation.
numbers
But
blew
also
me
just
away.
sad.
Yeah,
Yes, but just want to say sad. We're
we've been seeing
sad.
a lot.
We're
Like
90s babies. We
I
grew up.
find, especially on our side of social media, where it's more of the like conspiracy theory minded, I guess you can say. There's a lot of
Mhm.
aggression and just like meanness towards it. Where you and I were talking earlier, we don't have the same feeling. We grew up on Friends. Literally, me and my mom every Thursday would tune in for new episodes.
Mhm.
I still cannot watch the last episode where they put the keys down
Nope.
because I fucking bawl every
Ball
time.
every time.
But now I
Every
don't.
time.
It's going to take me a while to want to watch it again. I don't know if
Yep.
I'm going to be able
Yep.
to because yeah, that was our Mrs. Chandler Bong. Like, sorry,
Yeah.
not sorry. Like, say what you want about him on
Yes.
the conspiracy side of things, but he was still a person and he was our comedic relief for a long time. So yeah, it is definitely when Nick
Yes.
came in and told me like I would have loved a photo of my face because I seriously like almost dropped my phone and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No, no. And yeah, and then I log on
Yeah,
to Snap or
not
to
not him.
Instagram, and sure enough, it was just yeah, Matthew Perry at
It's sad
54.
because I
That's
think
so
too,
young.
54, it's so young, and like, and he didn't have kids or not married, but he like wanted to because he was so trapped up. And I think this is what's so sad is that he provided so much beauty. And I
I
do want to
know.
also recognize all the other work that he did as well, but he provided so much, like you said, comedic relief, like safety. Like a lot of us went through very transformative
Yeah,
times when Friends was there. So like for me, I didn't have cable for a long time when I first moved out in my 20s because I couldn't afford it. So I had all my box set of Friends, and literally if you came over to my house, that's what was playing on the TV. Is we just
yeah,
keep putting, and that's how old we are.
right.
Okay, we didn't have fucking
I
Netflix or
also
Disney
like
Plus. We actually had
17
to
again.
change the fucking disc.
17 again with
Yeah,
Zac
like
Efron and Matthew
yes,
Perry is
yes,
seriously one of his newer.
yes, and the whole nine
Yeah, whole
yards.
9 year. Fools Rush
Yeah,
In was another one with
yes,
was
that
it
one was good.
Selma
Yeah.
Hayek?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Selma
that
Hayek.
was
Yeah,
another one I used
yeah.
to watch a lot
He
when I
was
was younger.
just.
Yeah, like yeah,
I
that
feel
sucks.
besides his personal addictions and battles, which I actually do really want to read his memoir. Not that I
Yeah,
didn't before, but I'm not really a person that reads that. But now I actually really do want to read it. But because he said like he's never went back and watched Friends because he knew by
the
what season and what
struggles
he
that he
looked
was
like,
going
what part of his struggles and addiction he was in, whether it was like drugs or alcohol or whatever destructive. And I guess he found like God at the end, which I think is really
through.
beautiful to
Yeah,
find faith at the end of that. But what just makes me sad is that I don't think, besides his own demons, he was a problematic Hollywood celebrity,
he's
right? Like he was always like, he was just good natured. Like you never heard him
besides the
outside of his like,
girls like Courtney
yeah,
Cox and Jennifer Aniston, the rest of them were pretty like kept to themselves. Like you didn't really hear much.
yeah,
They did
they,
some like they did their like
yeah,
roles and stuff, but they weren't very
things,
much in
yeah,
the public eye as much as the other
no,
two were. So yeah, he was pretty kept
yeah,
to himself and pretty quiet. I do love the story
yeah,
about him beating up Justin Trudeau in elementary school.
yes. And
Props to him
it's
for
that, yeah, he's
that.
Canadian too, right? So let's just like props to that. But I think my point, like what just made me kind of sad is like people like him and like Robin Williams and stuff like that,
That's what I
that
said.
end
It's
up
always the
are just
funniest
like
and our happiest memoried people that are just the saddest and
struggling
like
the most.
struggle
Yeah.
like the most in silence. And Robin Williams was
Yeah.
one that really fucked me up bad. But yeah,
Yes.
this was another
And I
one.
have
It's
to
just
wonder if that's like,
yeah.
it's like a sacrifice that they've made to entertain all of us. And so this is where I think today it just kind of dawned on me. It's like, especially like you said on our side, and I totally understand you guys because we were there. We were belittled for not
Yeah.
getting it as well. And we think immediately, like we
It's
all
always my
say it
first
as
thought. I
soon
hate
as
to say it,
someone
but it
passes,
is.
it's always the first thought. I hate to say it, but at the same time, it's like, so what if it is? That doesn't make it any like better or vindicated or something. Like it just,
It's an
and
important
it does suck. It
factor.
sucked
It
that,
has to be looked at. We're
yeah,
not we don't
it
bring
does
it
for
up to
sure.
be like gross or to be like belittle or to like take anything away from the fact that he's dead, but it like
Hmm.
yeah, I'm quite sick of people like that it's none of your business. Well, it freaking was everyone's business not too long ago. You couldn't
Hmm.
go anywhere without
Hmm.
having to announce it. So like why is it when it comes down to like the most
Absolutely.
tragic part of it when people die, is it now none of our business? Like
Yes, agreed. Yeah,
to
agreed.
get proper
And too, but
stats
and
and
then
to get proper information and proper like test results or whatever, like the guinea pig, the
yeah,
trials, the everything, you need to
yeah,
account for
this
that
actual
too.
data for
You can't,
science.
yeah, to
Yeah,
get the proper
absolutely.
science, you have to include everything. You
Yeah,
can't just ignore and brush shit under the carpet, which is what's
yeah,
frustrating. But yeah,
totally. And I think I feel like for sure we should be able to do that. I was saying that in my stories. Like I find it super interesting that you guys now all of a sudden that's a cross boundary
hmm
of like personal information. But yet the last couple of years I couldn't go to a goddamn
yeah,
restaurant because of that. But I think too what upsets me though is like we were talking about this is like I'm so past, like I'm still mad but not at everybody else. I'm mad at the people that did this, but I used to be mad at the people who got
hmm
it, and now I'm not mad anymore. Now I'm just sad. So like the hate that I see towards like, oh well, he took the vax
and he
so
pushed
he had
it
a
and
shirt
he
that said
promoted it and
this,
this
like,
and
and he
that.
pushed it so he like it's like, so you're essentially saying he does. I'm not
He deserved
saying
it.
that
No,
they like, yeah, no, he didn't deserve it. He'll have his own karma, but to just be pretty much like, oh, karma served him, it's like
no.
some people truly, and I know a lot of people struggling with this, but some people truly thought it was for the good. And some like to judge somebody and where are at in their awakening and their journey
Yeah.
in that sense. This is what we're just kind of talking about today, is just like not really giving a shit what people are really
I
doing
also,
with their lives anymore, in that, and to the degree where
yeah.
it's like affecting you as a person of what other people are
I also
doing.
have a
I
really
just do
hard
whatever you
time.
want.
It's that whole don't speak ill of the dead. I like they're already dead. Like, what's the point in bashing
Yeah.
them and
What's
making,
the point?
unless they're like seriously
Yeah, there's
deserved
no
it, like
point.
you're like a child
Yeah. Piece of
lover,
shit.
we'll call them, or shit
Yeah.
like that. Like, unless you're reserved your first class ticket to
Yeah,
hell,
those ones.
like what's the point in
Yeah.
like bashing someone and belittling them and being like aggressive towards them like that after death? Like, it doesn't
No.
make sense. It is what it is. They're dead now. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
telling them they're a shitty person for pushing, like it's done.
Yeah. Like, what is that going to do for
Yeah,
their
it
memory?
doesn't,
Like,
it
why
just
can't we just,
makes you look like a bitter bastard, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And that's what I started to feel like. And I was like, this isn't me.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't me at all. And it's like, oh, obviously, this was like the byproduct of what
Mhm.
is meant to design. It's like, even though that's over, there's still that. It was never resolved or never really talked about for a lot of people. A lot of people
Yeah.
feel like there's unfinished business in that area, right? So even speaking to like everybody's body and their choice, this is like why one of the things in Canada. Did you end up watching that Matt Walsh video that I sent you?
Yeah, I watched some of it and then I
Yeah, it was pretty intense. I think like what strikes me is when you have people like that are so big on these platforms speaking about Canada that like that way. And I totally, Matt, like you totally, not that you'll ever see this, but you absolutely have your
yeah.
feelings for that for Canada. But it was just really sad of how we're being viewed in the world. And when you see an outside perspective of it, because we are more of a liberal country, we do really want to see people's charter freedom and
Yeah.
rights like honored, and we want people to have the choice of what they're doing. But this MAID program, in my opinion, is getting very close to a very deep, slippery
It's a
slope
very, yeah.
that I'm not okay with. And that's why we wanted to kind of talk about it. Again, as always, guys, please do your own research on this. Please go look at all the
Yeah.
websites and the government, everything that you want to go look at their website is all there for you guys to look. This is just on our opinions of what we've read. And I think both of us just kind of want to raise a little flag because I don't think either of us anticipated it being
No.
as
And it's a hard one.
in depth. It's a hard one, and
I want to
it's
be like,
yeah.
I'm going
So
to try and be as
yeah,
sensitive as I can, because like B and I were talking about before this, it is very much to each their own. And I can see where, like we were saying, if you're a vegetable, if your quality of life is super, super shitty because of some serious illness, like there are cases where I believe, and like we were saying, I don't see euthanasia as the same thing, which it very much is. Like, that's what we grew up calling it, was euthanasia.
yeah,
Like,
yes,
to me, euthanasia was someone is seriously ill, practically on their deathbed, knocking on that door, and it's a decision of, do we keep them going on ventilators, on machines, or do we, like, whatever. But where I have real struggle and problem with is the new addition of the mental health. Like, if you're just going in,
mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it, I'm depressed. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a story not too long ago. It was like a 26-year-old or a 23-year-old
Mm-hmm.
or some shit that they just
23.
didn't want to anymore. They just did not.
Yeah,
It wasn't like a serious mental illness. It was just depression, and they just really did not want to continue. And I'm pretty sure they were approved. Like, it was a huge story. I don't remember. I should have tried to find it, but that's where I
was it
struggle. If
Ontario?
it
I
is
think.
just a mental health, depression, I don't feel like it, my life is hard thing, like, I don't know. I don't.
It just makes. I think what the biggest fight between this whole thing on both sides, it's like you want to have compassion for somebody
Yes.
because, of course, we know nothing of what each individual
Yes.
is going through. So obviously, we can't say like we understand or that we wouldn't do
Hmm.
that in said shoes. But I just want to challenge people that say that to go and look at the people, especially in these videos. If you go look at the MAID ones, like I was watching one about Jordan Peterson, and he was asked like, "How do you feel about?" It was about 5 months ago. How do you feel about the MAID program? And if you guys know Jordan Peterson at all, you know that he suffered in a massive amount of pain,
Yeah.
like massive amount of pain. This man was very, very sick for a long time. And he said, there's parts of me that look at that button. And if there was a button that would just turn it off, there's probably times in my lowest time that I maybe would want to hit that. And I can understand. And he was like, but I didn't. And then I pulled through. And then, so anyways, underneath that, he's saying there's got to be a line, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can't sit there and watch like grandma suffer through
Yeah.
cancer if that's what her final wishes are, you know, like we said, there's got to be, of course, some choice in this. But just like with the abortion argument, again, where are the lines? And if they start to get blurred and they start pushing closer to the extremes, do we have buy in from that
Mhm.
other side that's pushing the extremes that we will pull that back? Because what I'm sad about when I'm reading all of this is the people that have been told that they do have like a chronic
Yeah.
illness or a heavy mental illness or possibly a death illness, cancer,
Fatal
disease,
illness,
all of
yeah.
that, that fatal illness, that their first like thing out of some doctors' mouths is
Have you thought of
MAIDs
this?
and this program. Have you thought of this? And when you start going deeper and deeper in it, you start reading, like I said, on Jordan Peterson, of all the people underneath that said, fuck, if I had just, you know, if I had this option a couple years ago, I might have taken it. And holy shit, would I, like, it's not like you could regret it because
No,
you're not
but
alive, but like,
still.
wouldn't that been the worst choice? Because, and I think that's why we all worry, is because all of us know that we go through so many struggles all the time. It's like, how do you know that maybe that's just your, let's say, quote unquote, weakest
Yeah.
moment? And now you have this option and it just seems so much easier. But like, if you think about it spiritually, which I do, is that if that is what you end your life with, like, baby girl, you're just coming right back and
Yeah.
doing that all over again, right? There's no like, you know, so it's just, and that's not for me to choose, and that's, like Haley said, it's not for us to choose, and we understand the extremes, like,
Well, cancer is the most common condition with like I think it was like 63% of the people last year that used MAID
mhm.
had cancers. And yeah, like in those
Yes,
situations,
exactly,
if you have like
totally understand that.
the hardest part for me is like I I'm not diagnosed by any means, but like I believe we all have ups and downs of depression. It's just kind of
Mhm.
especially with like everything that's in our
Winter.
foods, we constantly talk about it. Like I feel like everyone has a bit of it in them and we have our ups and downs. However,
Yes.
I have never personally like I just there's I have very my own personal views on taking your life. I don't now, especially with Evie, my God, like no. It's like that would just never
Mhm.
I could
Never.
never do that to her or to Nick or to my
Mhm.
family. Like
Mhm.
there's just something
Mhm.
about that that really bothers me and I just personally could never do that. But I have never had a low where I just, yeah, like, fuck it. I just want to end it. So, like, I personally
Tap out.
don't
Mhm.
understand that. But I also can't really I can't say, like, oh, it's going to get better. Because, like, some people go through years and years of just pain and agony and, like, frustration and just, like, being
Totally.
mentally not okay. And, like, I
Wow.
fully get that and I
Mhm.
understand that. I get that it is a thing, but I've just never been to that point. So like I don't get it. I don't get that. And like I can appreciate that people do get there, but I just don't see it a good enough reason to just end it all. Cause like you said, like a year or two down the road, something could change and like you could have been in your lowest low, like you went through a divorce, like all sorts of like really rough things, and like you're just not feeling yourself and like chasing the cat and like things like that. But
Olympics.
like a year or two down the road you could have found like the new love of your life or found a new purpose and just like be enjoying life. And then yeah, like what if you like you said, like people like, oh, a
To
few
take
years
that
ago I
choice.
could have done it no problem, but then like I just feel like it's a it's like
It's a
dishonoring
slippery
your
slope.
life. Like I get that people like
Yes.
it's just hard to explain because in certain like I said
It's hard to sit
cancers
there and say,
super serious like physical and like health illnesses I can get, and it is your choice.
mm,
You do you, but like the whole mental side of it, like it better be a.
it's scary.
I just don't. I I don't know. I feel bad because I don't want to like hurt anyone's feelings or like
Of
upset
course.
anyone, but
Totally.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
No. And that's totally fair. And I think my biggest thing is like the one thing that I kind of really pulled away from Matt Walsh's take on it was that essentially, like, there was a place and time with medicine where they said that they would not use medicine to take advantage of the most weak
Yeah,
and vulnerable population by
I
medically
feel like that's what it is.
euthanizing them, essentially. And that's exactly what's turning around. So, and once you get deeper into it, and I can pull up these numbers here, is that you look at the cost savings. Actually, let's just pull this up
Dude,
right
some of
now.
the
But
freaking, yeah, some of the numbers were just like, yeah.
I think the biggest thing about this is what maybe this will kind of conceptualize what you're trying to say is that by anyone saying that you should select maids, then is that saying that your life
It's
is not
not
worth it,
worth
that you don't
anything.
have a purpose, that it can, and maybe it can't get better. We can't promise that, but I can't as an individual sit there and say that
Your
anybody
life is
with
worth,
any sort of thing are
yeah.
not worth life. I am a pro-life individual. I'm not saying that I don't believe in abortion. We will talk about this one day on the episode, but you guys know my infertility issue, so obviously I have a little bit of a different view. There's all nuances, and there are also nuances with these kind of things too, right? So there's always going to be that,
Yeah.
but then there's always these slippery slopes and these extremes, right? Where it's like I have people in my life that I worry that once this mental health portion of this bill, which it's delayed until 2024, but it's coming through. It's I think it's this bill C7 that's based off of C14, which is the current legislation
Yeah.
that came through. I believe it was like 2017 when this all started.
2016.
Um, 2016, yeah, and then but they put it into law. I think it was like 2017,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Something. I'll read it anyways. What worries me is that if they do put this mental health in, I know people that have been at that bottom because
Yeah.
I've watched them go through drug addictions. I've watched them. So if they have an easy way out, like an easier way out, that they just fill in forms with some people, the thing is that there's stories where some people cannot get it at all and are terminally ill and very, very sick. And then on the flip side, there's individuals, like there's one in Ontario who's 23 years old. He had type 1 diabetes. He lost vision in one eye, and he told the doctor he didn't have a girlfriend and he was depressed, and his
That's what I
parents were
mean.
begging for them to reverse it, but because he's an adult, he had informed consent. We'll go over what is the criteria of getting this, and they couldn't stop, and they lost their son at 23 years old. And I also just want to flag, and maybe this is crazy, and please someone educate me, how are we having this program, but we also have a chunk of psychiatry that is stopping people from being suicidal? So mentally, if you go into someone and you're suicidal, they try to help you get help mentally to find purpose, to find all of that in life. But if they push through this mental health
And I've
thing,
heard
then
that
that's essentially, does that is that
doctors
silly? Am
are
I
like, there's been a lot of cases where I've heard stories of like the situations in which doctors, have you considered MAID? Like,
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry,
And it's not
what?
just, it's like people that are homeless. Like there's a couple cases where people are going to be homeless and they applied for maids because they're long-term disability type situation. And like the legislation before it was written, and that's what this Carter versus Canada is,
Yeah.
because it was basically saying that like by not allowing assistance in dying, you're infringing on the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, kind of thing. So they changed that in the act to be able to
That is
broaden that
infringing on.
to include, and that's when it went from, in my opinion, euthanasia, and that's where maids, medically assisted in dying, is
Yeah,
that what
like
it
I
is,
said,
medically
when
assisting in
we
dying
grew
maid,
up,
came to be.
euthanasia was reserved for those that were like terminally ill.
Super sick.
Terminally
Yeah.
ill. It wasn't for just like everyday like that's why that's the part that scares me is, yeah, someone's having an off day and just like walk into a doctor's office, I'm not feeling it, and they get, it's like kind of like the whole gender thing, they get written up that day to get like,
Yeah. Yeah.
they better have like the
Luckily they have to
procedures to
take
go
time,
through
like
it. Like you better be seeing a
they
shrink
do.
for
Yes.
months. Like I'm not talking a few visits. I'm talking
I
like,
don't think it's months though.
it should be. It should
I
be
think
at
there's
least a
more.
minimum of a month.
Yeah. And it's hard because it's like there's so much to read, you guys. That's why I said I think it's important for everyone to go
Yeah.
and read. But I think the biggest thing is the impact. And I don't know, Hales, if you want to pull it up and speak about the numbers.
Well,
Babes, we're just going to pause this episode for 1 second so we can do a little shout out. This season, it was super important to me that we make sure to take a little bit of time each episode to shout out to our favorite places, people, services, companies, products, all of those things, to make sure that we are giving back to the community that gives to us time and time again. Now, these people that we are shouting out have no affiliation with the podcast. They're just people that are places that we admire, that we just want to share some love. So in this house, fitness is super important. That is something that our relationship has been based on, and something that we have been doing for over a decade. And we could not do that without Iron Nation. So Iron Nation is the gym that we go to for almost a year now. It's been open a year, but we just started going last December, and it's been almost a year for us. And we just cannot be more thankful for this gym. And the cool thing is that they're not just in Kelowna; they're in Grand Prairie as well, right outside in Claremont, Shuswap, in the Blind Bay area there, and then also opening up in Surrey. So it's very soon. So stay tuned to that one when this airs. It's not open; it's coming. But our one that we go to here in Kelowna, we absolutely love. The team is amazing. They take care of that place so well. It's just always put together. It's always so nice. Everything's back where it should be. Even if people leave shit around, the team just goes right away, gets it, puts it back. It's really awesome. We absolutely love it there. The atmosphere, the views. It's on the second level, so you just have this amazing view of Kelowna when the sun rises and the sun sets. You know, top of the line equipment. I've been to many gyms over the last decade, and I've never quite used equipment like this. It has absolutely changed my fitness and just my mindset and my mental health, even around fitness. It definitely motivated me to be in a gym that's surrounded with people that are really pushing. The atmosphere is so great and motivating, and it's not, people always think about intimidation when you go to gyms, and it's just not like that there. Everyone is just, in such a good mood. I haven't ran into a cranky person yet, which is just absolutely crazy and amazing. So I, for one, obviously 10/10 recommend any Iron Nation, but really want to shout out to the team here in Kelowna for making it such a beautiful second home for all of us. I know I'm not alone when I say I appreciate the hard work that the team does, the details that they pay attention to, and just like the respect that they have. They listen to their clients when they come in, you truly feel cared about. So thank you guys. And I'm just going to read a little bit off of their website just so you guys get a kind of feel from them of what they are. But I obviously put a stamp of approval on that. And we also used to go to the one in Grand Prairie when we used to live in Grand Prairie as well. So ironically now that my spouse is back up there, he's also enjoying Iron Nation in Grand Prairie. So their philosophy. So our extremely friendly and highly trained staff are on site to welcome you every day and give instruction on equipment use. Yes, 100%. You guys are always so great at that. We will work with you to keep you on track and motivated to reach your goals. Join our community, make friends, challenge yourself, and feel fantastic. Our staff take your fitness goals seriously. We understand that losing weight and gaining muscle can be challenging, and our goal is to help you overcome hurdles and reach your goals. We analyze your body type, BMI, metabolism, and create your individual fitness plan. Iron Nation Fitness Kelowna is a cutting edge 24-hour gym located in the heart of the Okanagan Valley, British Columbia. Established in 2022, the gym has quickly become a prominent fitness destination, catering to a diverse clientele seeking top notch facilities, professional guidance, and a strong sense of community. This is the story of how Iron Nation Fitness Kelowna rose to prominence and became the Okanagan's prestigious 24-hour gym. Founding and vision. Iron Nation Kelowna was founded by fitness enthusiasts Nick Doyle and Andy White, who share a passion for health and fitness. Their vision was to create a gym that transcends a conventional fitness experience, offering a space where people of all fitness levels could come together to achieve their goals and build strength and foster a supportive environment. And you guys have done such a great job of that, honestly, you guys. State of the art facilities. So, right from its inception, Iron Nation Fitness Kelowna aimed to be at the forefront of fitness innovation. The gym spared no expense in creating state-of-the-art facility that combined the latest workout equipment with aesthetically pleasing and motivational atmosphere. The gym boasts an extensive range of cardio equipment, free weights, resistant equipment, and specialized workout areas designed to cater in various training. Love it, guys. So the 24-hour access is great. I mean, I pretty much fall in the normal times, but if I ever want to, it's really nice to know that we can do that, especially on holidays. I think that's like the biggest complaint for most people is when they go to the gym, their gyms are closed on holidays, and that's just something we don't have to worry about there. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to stop and have a thank you to Iron Nation for all that you guys have done, the whole entire team throughout. Thank you very much, everyone there that is motivating me at the same time, pushing my ass. I appreciate you guys too. So now let's get back to the show. Changes and now don't want to. So then
Or
now
they're
can go to
left with
go into Canada.
like completely like in like non-working body parts that their life is forever
Yes.
going to be
Yeah.
in and out of
Changed and
hospitals, in and out
altered.
of like
Yep.
it just opens a door,
And so
a really
it
yucky
does.
door.
And to further this, there's actually a someone in Quebec. I can't remember who he is exactly. I apologize. Maybe professor or senator or someone like that is trying to push for where is it? uh, I just don't want to say it wrong. They're talking about like for if kids can figure this out for themselves, like there's amendments that they want to make, so it's not just mental health.
No.
So it'll be like if kids understand, yes. So kind of like how we're talking about now in BC, like if a kid understands about getting a vaccine, they can get it done without their parents knowing. It's kind of like if they're understanding, if they're mature mind, then might be able to make
It's
that
like the
decision. Yep.
transition if
And
they're
then
like young
children,
children.
yeah, exactly. And then if there is a extreme deformity, then you should be able to do that for minors. And I have had friends and I know people that have found out that their child would have trisomy 13 and wouldn't make it a couple months. Lily, she came into this world and her parents took the best care that they could have for 3 months, and 3 4 months I think she was with us, and then
Nick's
she
uncle.
passed. But her mom,
Nick's
yeah,
Nick's grandma's brother. So God rest you, Bizum. It was exactly that. He had, in French, it's called trisomie. So he had trisomy of whatever
yeah,
chromosome.
yeah,
And he was only supposed to live a few months to maybe a year or so. He was 63 when he died.
yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Good.
So, and
That's
like Nick
amazing.
and I had to go through that whole discussion of like, because I have it on my
Yep,
side of the family, he has it on his side of the family.
yep.
Like, should something occur, like I didn't need to take the, like I just wasn't interested in taking the test, but I always told him like it is
Yes.
not, I don't care, as long as like as long as
No,
the
it's our
quality of
baby.
life isn't going to be completely affected.
Shattered. Yep,
It is what it is,
yep. Then
like,
let's do it.
and that's the
Yeah.
whole, that's where it comes down to.
But they offer
As
abortion.
long as
They have offer
that's,
abortion and
no,
like,
as long as the
right? And
quality
so
of
this is
life
where
is
I'm not
there,
okay.
it shouldn't
Yeah.
even be an option. If their quality of
No.
life, like
Right?
if they're, like I said, like no matter what age, if they're laid up in a bed completely vegetabled or having being dependent on machines or dependent on oxygen and like things like that, like they're, yeah, I could see where where that option would come into play. But it's where you start allowing, yeah, simple things like children. Are you fucking kidding me, sir? From Quebec?
Mm-hmm.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just a lot of really, like you said, slippery slope and doors that once they're open, they're not closing, you know?
No, no, they're not. No. And that's what I kind of worry, because it's like, it's kind of saying like, like I said, I can't say what's good for people or what's not good
Get
for
ready for hunting tomorrow.
little bean.
So you'll hear noise. I'm
Ah,
sorry if
yay.
you can hear in the
Um,
background.
no, it's okay. It's hunting season. I just, yeah, like you said, it's a slippery slope. And I've had this, I haven't had to decide, but I've had the personal experience. When I was 19 years old, everyone that's watched Cody, we all know, he got in a bike accident, and same thing. Like his parents had to make the really tough
On the
decision,
plug, yeah.
because he wouldn't have had a quality of life, right? He would have, like you said, been in a chair and not had a life at all. And that was the hardest decision. Like, so I do understand, because I come through that. One of my best friends growing up, she died of cancer at like, I think she was only 20, 25, 24. It gets blurry in that years old. Like, no, yeah, yeah, around that age, because I was about 22 when I got married, and she didn't make it
This is going to
to my
sound
wedding,
weird.
unfortunately, and
It
she had severe
should be a
cancer.
hard decision. It shouldn't be
Yes,
easy. It shouldn't
totally.
come easily.
No.
It shouldn't be someone going in and saying, I don't feel like doing this anymore. It should be made, in my opinion, by like, not by other people. Like, you shouldn't have the option to make it yourself, but you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't just be an easy, I don't even know how to explain that. I don't
No, I
know.
totally, sorry, it
This
glitched
whole
out there for a
thing,
second, so hopefully that recorded.
researching and like everything, like it just, I don't,
Such a bounce back, right? So that's what I mean before. Like, that's why it's so hard. And it's like, the friends that I have and the people that I know, like, they're been told they have could be potential things, and it's immediately like offer abortion. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take it, and I'm not judging you if you do. I'm just saying it makes me sad that then they tell and terrify parents and being like, it's
yeah.
going to be really hard, like, and it's just like, I just am not a person that would be able to say that life doesn't mean anything, because I've been around challenged people, from physically, mentally, just all types of individuals. And I think that they're just, I know it's hard.
Like if you
My
think about
family
it,
has been a
like
part of it, but it's just sad
some
to
of
say that that
our,
person then shouldn't
like
exist and live. That's just a harsh thing to say, in my opinion.
some great minds and some like very important influential people have, like, look at Stephen Hawking. He
Mm-hmm.
couldn't talk. He was in that
Nope.
chair, but he was one of the great minds of our fucking time. Like there's a lot,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, I just can't, I could not put a price value or anything on someone's life that is just like, no, yeah, you're right. You're not really worth anything. You should probably end it. Like,
Yeah,
I really hope
totally.
that I'm sure it is. And I know that there are steps, like we've been saying, like therapy and all that, but I just really hope that like it shouldn't be offered. It shouldn't be offered. Like I feel like the second like
Yeah.
we're hearing like all these doctors like, oh, have you considered this? Like to me, that is exactly what there's like. Yeah, shitty. Have you considered dying? Like, so you're telling me that like
Yeah.
I'm not worth fighting for? I'm not worth writing a prescription or like writing a recommendation for like lifelong therapy if possible.
Something.
Like I just there's so many
Yeah.
other steps to be taken beforehand that I feel like should be
Mhm.
explored and I hope are explored. But the fact that they're just
Yeah.
like offering it like M&Ms, you know what I mean? By the sounds of it,
Yes.
like
Yes.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and I think people get clouded too. It's just like again, they people think they have to be one side or the
Yeah.
other. Like, no, we understand. There, I'm not going to tell you if that's truly what you
Yeah.
want to do. As long as you have informed consent, which is one of the criteria. So
Yeah,
it's
go
one of
through
the
the
criteria. I
criteria
feel
because
like you should be able
I didn't.
to make these decisions. Again, I'm just worried about the slippery slopes that it's going to be, and when government takes over, then what happens then? Like, do they then decide whose life is worth
Yeah.
it, and then they put a price on it, and all the things that we're going through here, where we're allowing kids to transition and play with their medical shit
Yeah.
really young and
Jeez.
doing stuff that they don't really know the consequences, and then you're just going to offer them a quote unquote easier out. And I just worry of where this is going to go in the name of honoring people's freedoms and rights. What is this going to lead to? And so I just think it's important that people are aware that, say you do have a very depressed friend and it's March 2024 and they don't reach out to you because a lot of people don't, and we've all unfortunately lost people to suicide, and it happens quite often, and it's going to continue unfortunately happening with the way of the
Mm-hmm.
world. And it just makes me so, it just, I cannot wrap my head around, again, outside of people that are in excruciating pain and at their end of the life, I completely
Yeah.
understand having the ability to do that. But to open that up to children, to a mental illness, which, like, before, we used to, when there's mental illness, people used to be held in hospitals, and then we removed that stigma and we started learning about it,
Yeah.
and now it's saying if you have really bad ones, you just shouldn't live.
Just go kill yourself essentially. Like what?
I just, but that's what I'm not quite understanding. We have this whole part of psychology that is designed to help people that have suicidal
I
ideations,
was
and we
just gonna
hear about
say,
this all the
how
time.
can
But then with mental health, but then we turn it here and it's like, okay, we approve this, but it's okay if the
how are
government
you
does it.
okay
Are
with
they going to make a subsidiary
someone
of that? Are they making money? I
choosing
don't
to
know.
die via like professional medical help, but then in the same hand,
Yes.
most people are gonna say that, oh no, suicide's bad. Like I don't support suicide.
Yes.
Well, you do if it's done by
And
a fucking
yes.
needle in a doctor's office. Apparently, like
Yes.
that. I
Yes. And
don't.
I know they say it's like dying with dignity, and I completely understand that, but at the same time, like,
It's still dying.
it's still dying, and I just can't be like, that's something that I would be able to help. So, again, I just don't want people to think that I don't, like, same thing with, like we said with abortion, like, there's nuances with
It's
it.
really
There's
yeah. It's a
obviously,
hard.
it's not black
It's
and
not a
white.
hard
There's
yes
so
or a
much
hard no.
gray.
It's very like
No.
it's definitely one of those very gray
But
areas.
but but there has to be some sort of minimally boundaries around that, because if that was the case, then everybody is just gonna, like, not want to fight for their lives. And if it's not that hard, then 78% of people that applied for it, if it was super easy, which, again, because you hear about this all the time, like, oh, it's super easy, you just fill it out and it's done, right? Like, let's dial that back, conspiracy theorists friends. It's not that easy. But again, it shouldn't be,
No.
right? So as of March 17th, 2021, and this is straight off of justice.gc.ca. So, right off of the
The gun
government websites.
sites.
Yeah, it's so okay, so eligible criteria. As of March 17th, 2021, persons who wish to receive MAID must satisfy the following eligibility criteria: be 18 years of age or older and have decision making
Mhm.
capacity, be eligible for publicly funded healthcare services,
Okay.
make a voluntary request that is not the result of external pressure.
Okay.
I don't know how you prove that, but give informed consent to receive MAID, meaning that the person has consented to receiving MAID after they have received all information needed to make this decision.
Mhm.
Have a serious or and incurable illness, disease, or disability, and it says in brackets, excluding mental illness until March 17th, 2024. Be in an advanced state of irreversible decline in
Mhm.
capability, having endured an intolerable physical and psychological suffering that cannot be alleviated under conditions the person considers acceptable.
Okay.
So, like this, I feel like, and it might be controversial because some people don't believe in MAID at all, but like I feel like this is fair. If
Yeah.
like again, we're all dying, so you can't say like if someone's on the trajectory of dying because we all are. So that's kind of like a weird broad way of saying it, but I agree if you know that's going to end and you don't want to go through
Yeah.
like we say cancer treatments,
Going
Alzheimer's,
through
like
radiation and
I don't want you
chemotherapy
to.
and like it's just rough on
Yeah,
you.
and yeah, and I'm sure your family's going to absolutely hate it. But at the same time, it is your
Yeah.
choice, right? And I understand not wanting to commit suicide. I don't even know if we can say that. I'm gonna have to edit that out probably. But like if you were wanting to do that for yourself, like I can understand that being very scary and not wanting to go through that. So I do understand the compassion that is here. But I start to worry about things when you find out that funeral homes are like renting out these
Yeah.
rooms to do that. And, you know, they're charging people money and like it just, again, a slippery slope. So there is a criteria now, but I'm just, again, nervous of this pushing of the kids that understand because I'm 37 next month and I don't fucking understand
Yeah.
shit still. So I'm not
I'd
sure how a
be
17-year-old
I'd be
is
interested
going
to
to consent
see
to this properly.
because it is like on the table to be passed and being discussed for the 2024.
Mhm.
I kind of interested. I
Yeah.
didn't look to find it, to be honest with you. What the criteria is for mental health? Like if there is like you saw a
What
shrinking,
that's going to
is it
be.
just getting recommendation from one, or is there like in my opinion you would need a minimum. Like I feel like you should have to spend like I hate to say it, like quite a
Sometime.
few months in therapy. I'm sorry, like better part of a year in
Mhm.
therapy, talking this
Mhm.
through, making sure this is seriously what you want. I like this is gonna sound really fucked up, but like going through the therapy and like talking to someone, if you're really committed to doing it, there's always been options. It's always been a thing. And I hate saying that out loud, and that is so disgusting, but like suicide has been a thing for a long time. And those who are very
Yes.
committed, unfortunately, are going to find a way to do it anyways. So like
Yes.
the whole path of like getting written consent, get it like going through all these steps, like
Is it
I
signs
get
that you
that
don't fully want to, that if it's not
they're
terminal?
trying to like help like the reject like the people that are like withdrawing their stuff and like trying to show people like look there
Mhm.
is something, maybe this isn't the best, like you have to go through this, and
Yeah.
then halfway through it's like okay well maybe I don't want to, like that to
Yeah.
me is
Maybe it was a
the good
reaction.
part of this, is because having to go through those
Mhm.
steps to do it legally gives you the time to second guess and gives you the time to like rethink, whereas those who are very determined to not live and those are who are very much not wanting to will ultimately probably just figure it out on their own.
Make the choice. Yeah. And it's really sad. And that's why I just get so confused. Like, and I'm not saying that I don't want people to have that option again. If all these things, like, if there's things and you
Yeah.
want that, I'm
And
so sorry that you do. And I just can't tell you that I think that you shouldn't live because I know a lot of people that go through chronic illness that have gone through all
yeah.
of these things and they've come out on the other side being absolute fucking warriors. And I'm not saying that's everybody. I'm not saying that's everyone's journey. I just
And
want that
like
for
you kind of
everybody,
said before, it's also just one of those things that like the government tries to have their hand in everything, and this is just kind of a very morbid and very disgusting thing to want to be a part of and to want to have a control over and to want to like
Mhm.
yeah just like be a part of, like you need to control and
Well,
be involved in so much that you have now created a whole program for people to come and ask you permission for this, like
mhm, mhm.
it's just
And one thing I'd
kind
like
of
to also note
fucked.
is that Canada also apparently, allegedly, is the highest organ donor from the MAID's program in the world. So more organs, and I
Which
think it was
is,
Ontario with the
if you're
most,
terminally
were donated,
ill,
which is, I guess I want to take obviously the more like, but that's not all terminally ill to people, right? And depending on what type of terminally ill, I
that
don't know.
makes you
That's
wonder
just
if like they're
supposed.
trying to add the mental health so they can start harvesting more friggin' organs. Like I wouldn't put it past them, which is gross to think because our government
It's
is
just
just,
hard,
like you said, it's
and
very
that's the thing.
selfish
It's like,
thing. You know it
I get
is.
it. I I
It's a
get it. I
monetary
get
thing.
that people. Exactly, and that's where I struggle. So let's go over just this a little bit quickly here. It's just this little write up that I got here about the court case that kind of changed all of this with assisted dying in Canada. In February 2015, the Supreme Court of Canada released Carter versus Canada, an important decision about the law on assisted dying. The law had been unsuccessfully challenged 20 years earlier at the Supreme Court in Rodriguez versus British Columbia. In the Carter decision, the court found that the criminal code provisions that make it a crime to help a person end their life violate the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. As a result, the Government of Canada, Parliament, and some groups reviewed the law surrounding assisted dying and considered options for changing it. In Parliament, a joint Senate and House of Commons committee studied the issue and made recommendations to the government about what a new law should include. In its report released in February 2016, the committee used the term medical assisted in dying, or MAID. So this is where I think there's a slippery slope. So hypothetically, if someone was to slip someone some pills, how would you not prove? How would you be able to prove that they weren't just assisting them in suicide?
Yeah. Well, that was like the whole euthanasia and like those like angels of death where they're just kind of like,
Mhm.
that's why, or like the old husband, like the old seniors that their wife begs them, please, like I'm so sick of this, I can't do this anymore, and then they get charged with murder.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, exactly. And that's what I mean, right? Like it's such a wild thing where you hear stories of people that have been waiting and they have these terminal illnesses and they're not getting approved, but then buddy with
goes
diabetes
and gets like,
goes and
or you're
gets
gonna
it
have
at
people with
23
mental
years old.
health issues getting approved before people that are on like like this should be an
Yes.
extensive, like the waiting list.
Yes.
I just,
But it shouldn't be just as easy, and I think it believes it's like $700. So one of the places. So that's how this
seven
kind of
hundred
all came
dollars to
into
go
place. So
and
April 2016, one of the places to rent the room. I'm not sure how much it was, but it was a funeral home that was offering these services now, right? So I also wonder again in these incentives, it's like the funeral homes are starting to offer their places because hospitals are overrun and that's not really a place. So they're offering like a
like a death room.
essentially, yeah. And there was one doctor in Canada, and this was on the Matt Walsh video that she and I get it because I can understand again with people that are like severely in pain that must feel like you're bringing them some sort of
Yeah,
relief, and there's got to be a lot of mental stuff that you have to go through. But I guess it was like a very decently young individual, and he was a part-time clown, and she was just like kind of like laughing about how he said he wanted to go out giggling and he had a clown costume on and that's how he passed. And they were just making, and she was just like, every experience is different. Like some people want to go out with like champagne, and now we have like fucking commercials like promoting it. And again, I'm not saying that this shouldn't be offered and that people shouldn't do it. I just, when people start making money off of it and they profit it and it's in commercials and the government is pushing it and they change the wording of it and they make it into law and then they start deciding who gets to, what happens when they push it in there and they get to
yeah, like I
decide who's
said,
mandated? And people can laugh
they
about and think that that's a crazy
they
stretch,
shouldn't have
but
their
no one in
hands.
their life thought they would mandated
They shouldn't
vaccines.
have their hands in
So
it. I find it really
sorry.
weird that they want to
No.
be a part of that, and that
Yeah.
like anything that they
Because
do
they make
is not,
money. Actually, they save
it's not
money.
selfless, you know, that like it's a selfish thing and there's money
Yeah.
somewhere down the line that is to be made, and that's the ugly part, that they're trying to
Yes.
make it seem like, oh, it's for compassion, it's for like people's like charter right, blah blah blah. No, it's
No,
money.
it's
The
not.
government doesn't do
Yes, it's
shit if
money
for like,
to be nice. No.
I
And
don't
so
know.
last final note kind of on this. So
That's fun.
in 2021, the net financial impact by providing maids under the current legislation. So that's not with the mental health, that's just with
What it
not
is
just
now.
people with like gonna die in the near future. It's like you're gonna die at some point. You could probably apply for it. Not saying you're gonna get approved, but This is in the millions. So the net reduction in healthcare costs under this bill is $86.9 million that they're saving by administering MAID, as opposed to the healthcare and all of the money that it takes to take care of any individuals under that would fall under this MAID
Which you
program.
think would be kind of
$86.9
counterproductive, considering
million.
those people are going to be big pharma patients for life and like big money spenders because chemotherapy is expensive, drugs are expensive, and all
Mhm.
that.
But there's that
However,
free healthcare, right? So then they're going and
the
using
money
that,
they're
and then we're needing to do
saving
more
is
taxes.
being pocketed by God knows
Mhm.
who. And that, what was that
Ton
number?
of
I'm
people that don't
sorry.
deserve it. 86.9 million savings estimated. So when they add Bill C7, which will have more eligible patients to be able to go through
It'll
this,
jump to in
they're
the
going to be
hundreds.
looking at $149.0 million saved by
And yeah,
administering the MAID
sorry about
program.
our
And this is just in 2021, you guys. This is
sorry
2
about our
years
tinfoil hats
after.
being on, but like that really doesn't do anything to disprove the depopulation agenda. Here, come die on us. Like, are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
there's no surprise to me that at the same time that all this is being released is all the trial stuff information, all the fucking controversies that we have back and forth, and now all of a sudden it's going to be like, here, we can offer this, and then we're going to see basic income come in, which is another one I want to talk
It
on the
just,
next episodes of
like you're
Canada.
saying,
It's just, I feel like Canada is not setting people up for success. Instead, they're just being
it's
like,
really,
here, approve you for more drugs, and we'll
it's
just, you don't like things are hard, then here, this is
it's
going to be an
pretty
option if
ironic
you just deem
timing
yourself.
considering all the incredibly uncomfortable and
Division.
sometimes very painful side effects that are coming out of the last few years, and some of the turbo cancers that we're seeing, and all that shit that this is now
Cardiac
being, well,
problems.
especially the people that are just going through it really fucking rough mentally, having dealing with family members and like friends and like all this like mental side effects of the
Inflation.
last few, like,
Wars. And yep,
yeah, I
it's
don't know.
just it makes me a bit
Yeah,
nervous. And again,
a bit.
maybe
It
I'm
makes me
fucking
very
crazy, maybe
nervous.
Haley's
The more
crazy,
like I look
right?
into
It's
it,
just, again,
it was just one of those like slippery slope isn't
yeah,
even the word for it anymore, in my opinion.
no,
It's
yeah,
it's just dangerous.
it's
It's very, very dangerous,
it
and it's
is.
very irresponsible if not
Mhm.
handled properly. And I'm sorry, but the government, in my eyes, doesn't handle shit
Doesn't
all
handle anything
properly.
ever,
They
buddy.
do it
No,
selfishly, and it's
no.
for them. It's
I
not for
mean,
anyone else. So this is,
they're probably gonna take our show in like T minus fucking 3 weeks from this episode airing,
yeah,
but you know,
fuck,
like,
we
it is
can't
what it
even
is.
post anything right now. Are you kidding me? They already fucking did
Yeah.
take our fucking show.
So it's like how there's just, it blows my mind on what they focus on and what they don't focus on. And again, I don't know how many times we have to say this, and I think we say that because we want people to understand that it's not just one side
We
or the
are
other. We've
compassionate,
got this fucking twisted in our
100%.
head that because we think one thing, then that means 100% the other. No, two truth can exist
They
at the
can,
same
yeah.
time. Medically assisted dying should be available for people that are in critical
Who
conditions, that
genuinely
have
need it.
informed
Yeah.
consent and who genuinely need it. On the flip side of it, we should not be offering to this as this is the next solution and this is the only solution to care. And to prescribe
It shouldn't even,
MAIDs as a treatment plan is kind of scary to me, in a sense of how it's growing over the last, well, since 2015,
yeah.
essentially, in the
It
last
shouldn't even
10
be like a
years, under
last
10,
option. It should be a
8
secret
years.
menu option that you don't hear about until
Yeah.
everything else has been completely exhausted and you literally have
Yes.
nothing else to go through. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, it
Yes.
shouldn't
Because your
even
life
be
is
on the
valuable.
regular list of options. It should be that very hidden, kind of taboo, unspoken, like, okay, well, we've gone through everything, we've gone through this, that, the other thing, like A through Z, twice over.
Mhm.
This is there. Should you choose? Like, I don't even like it. I don't.
I know it's hard. I know. I know. But, and then I also too, like, I read some of these comments of people that have had that, I couldn't watch my mom go through one more second of that. And like,
Absolutely.
that's what she wanted. And I totally understand
And
that.
that's
That's what
where
I'm
it's
saying. There's
reserved for.
not, yeah. But the thing is now, and that was open for that now it's opening up, and I don't think people understand that. So if you have a younger sibling or a cousin or a friend that you know is going through a hard time and you're fucking worried that one day they're going to commit suicide,
Yeah.
but you kind of hold on to the fact that they're not going to because they just, they couldn't do that themselves, there's a good chance that they could go through this program if this gets approved with this mental health piece. And if they've been sitting in it for a long time and they're alone in it and they don't have anybody saying, are you sure?
And they're
And
of
they have
age,
people
worst of
affirming
all.
that, yeah, you can do this, don't worry, there's a lot of people that do this, we're compassionate, if this is what you think, like, they're affirming them into
Yeah.
that, and no one's stopping them. I just worry
We
about, and again, it's not my soul that has to come back here and repeat this life, and that's all on you guys. I'm just saying,
we
like,
really have to limit
there is
what we're
nuance
affirming
here.
for people these days, because everything is like, oh, you got to affirm everything for everyone, and what everyone is feeling is valid, and like there is like a certain extent that that is true, but like
But feelings are also
yeah,
crazy.
feelings
Have
are
you got your
also,
period ever?
why do you think it's called being
I could love
emotional?
to
Because
kill
they're
someone.
fucking everywhere sometimes, and I just like the whole like affirming everyone's everything all the time is just getting a little hyper aggressive, and this is where that it falls under that umbrella of like,
Yeah.
do you really want to be affirming everyone's fucking feeling of wanting to
Libertarianism
die
is a
every
little
day?
bit,
Like, give me a
yeah.
break.
Yes. Yes. I'd rather want to help people figure out reasons to live.
Yeah,
And like, and again, I can't say things because I've never had a terminally illness disease.
I've never,
I have
yeah,
friends, like I said, I've watched people have to make the hard choice of, you know, doing those things. And it was hard. It was so hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And so all we're saying is that it's a little bit, these are heating up in this area, and we need to put a pin on this just to be aware that, again, if this becomes an extreme, there's having compassion, but there's also like a little bit of eugenics here.
yeah.
And I don't really want to see that go forward because
No.
I'm a conspiracy theorist. So that makes me nervous a
We
little bit, right?
we
So
know how that
again,
goes, and no
yeah,
one
we
wants to
honor
see that.
everybody that had to make that decision for their family members, for themselves, for someone close to them, for a child that they might have had that maybe, I don't know. But I
Hell,
see a
putting
lot of
down a
people that say,
dog or a
gosh, I'm
cat
so,
sucks. I can't even
yeah,
imagine having to do
yeah,
that for a fucking human being that you are connected to.
that
Like,
you care
fuck
about.
that. I've had to do it
Yes.
for a
And so I
dog.
understand that that must be hard.
I, I
And so
couldn't.
it must be hard. Like, I get that. But at the same time, I just don't want this to be
Yeah,
normalized. I just don't, but that's, everyone needs to make their own choices, right? I just want people to understand that it's not just, when you bring this up now, so many people will say, oh, well, it's just for critically ill people. That's not what's just happening anymore. So
yeah,
more now than ever, we need to check on our friends and make sure that they're okay, because they could be taken care by of a professional that doesn't really know that maybe this isn't the best idea.
yeah.
Maybe that there should be other options, and I think that there are other options. And if you've exhausted all of that,
Then,
it's your life.
yeah,
I think you deserve to be here, but it's your life. And so I think that's what we're all
yeah,
saying. Yes. And when we say that, then people are like, oh, you want it to go? What about that? No, it's again, it's a very nuanced thing, but the more that goes into the hands of the government, the more that they get to decide whose lives are worthy or not. Instead of protecting the vulnerable and at their
mhm.
weakest, they're giving them a
A shitty
button
option.
that takes them away from here, and a shitty option. And I don't want that,
Yeah,
because I think everyone has value, but
that's
maybe
our
that's crazy. I
opinion.
don't know, but that's our opinion. That's what's happening in Canada. So keep your eyes open, guys. March 2024 is when they're looking. So that's not far from now. That's 3 months, 4 months, 5 months from
Yeah,
now. She's
that
aggressive.
is 6
Yeah,
days
right. So
after
like,
my
let's keep our
my
eyes
daughter's
on this.
birthday. It's fucking yucky. St. Patrick's Day
And so it's just like,
2024
let's,
coming to a clinic near you,
yes.
unfortunately. Fuck,
Yes.
gross.
Yeah. Possibly. You never know. They might
Possibly.
shut that down, right? Like, it's just being reviewed is what it sounds
It's
like. So it's not for sure. So we'll see. And like,
today.
again, I want to honor
Yeah,
people's bodies, because I do believe in bodily autonomy and freedom of choice, even with abortion, even if that's not something that I would choose to do. And I think a lot of people support without fully knowing. I think this is one of those things too. We can be compassionate,
yeah.
but we don't have to go extreme, right? So that's, you guys look into it. You guys look into MAIDs
Today
and
was
you
a rough
decide for
topic, so
yourself.
here's a puppy for
It
some
was a rough
cheer
talk.
and some
Here's a
happiness.
puppy. I don't have any. My cats didn't do anything, guys. I am shocked. It's amazing. But other things that are
Puppy
happening in
bellies.
Canada, we're
Woo.
going to talk back. This is puppy bellies. Is there any farts today? It didn't sound like
No,
it.
thank God, but she was doing the zoomies and like running behind the couch and like freaking out. So I'm sorry if you can all hear that. It might provide you with some giggles in
That's what
between our
happens.
really shitty heavy
It's some,
topics, but
Yes.
Kitty's also down
And
here
too,
giving
like,
her the evil eye, and she was harassing her, so you might hear that too. But and Nick and his fucking aw that he did upstairs, the fucking weirdo. But yeah, I couldn't wear my
but
headphones today.
it's what life
Yeah.
is. Oh,
So
that's
you got
good.
all the extra
That's what
sounds
life
and
is.
fun today from
Yes.
me.
But this is just again things that we want people to know
Yeah.
because we're so busy in our lives, and when you actually start talking to people, they have no idea this is going on because why would they? And then that's what worries me is
Yeah.
that all of a sudden they have all these changes, and then 10 years later we're like, what is this country? We did not. This
You
is people
hear
are
about
coming
it,
here
but
now
how many people want
to
to
get
do
maids. Like what?
in-depth research on such a heavy topic? Not very many, because it
It's
is
not.
just
But we've
that.
been doing pretty good this season,
I
guys.
think
We
we're
haven't
doing
done as
pretty decent.
crazy pressing topics. We've balanced it. And this to me isn't always necessarily a heavy topic because I do believe it should be here. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched Laura the Mortician, but definitely go and check her out. She like normalizes death and stuff like that in a way. And I think it's important that, we
It is
kind
a
of
part of
talk
life.
about
That's,
things that are uncomfortable.
as they
It's a
say,
part of
there are
life.
two sure things in life: death and taxes. And unfortunately, I don't believe taxes should be a sure thing. So death is pretty much the only sure thing in life. Everyone has their
Yeah.
day,
So,
and
yeah.
I don't think anyone's
So just
day
keep an
should
eye
be
on this,
pushed on them
guys.
a little earlier than it should. So
No. No, exactly. And we believe you believe. We believe you believe you should be here. Something like that with words. Month end. I'm sorry. That's where I'm at. But guys, just you go look at yourself and you decide. And just be aware so that if anybody in your family comes to you or you're hearing people around, and when this mental health thing kicks in, I'm going to challenge you all to make sure to check in on your friends that you know have mental health
yeah,
issues, just to make sure that they don't feel alone. And that's the only option that they have because I don't think it is. So, anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Go listen to, we have 156 other episodes. I'm sure
yeah.
there's probably one with a lighter topic on it, but we hope that you guys have been loving season 6. I'll get my words back hopefully by next episode. If not, whatever. Until next time,
Love
guys. Bye.
you.
Thank you guys for stopping by the show today. We appreciate you so, so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more, make sure to show us some love on our Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube and Rumble channels, like those episodes, and turn on the notification bells. You can find our video version of the show on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, or you can catch the audio version on Apple and Google Podcast. But stay tuned for more realness coming to you soon. Until next time, babes.